Ms. Fredrickson, what's the name of the organization that you head up?
The American Constitution Society.
American Constitution Society. Before the Mueller report was made public, and actually 2 days before Attorney General Barr did his first letter to tell us anything about the report, which was March 24th of this year, 2 days prior to that, on March 22nd, 2019, you said this. You said, the question isn't whether members of the Trump campaign conspired with Russia to sway the 2016 elections. We already know they did. How did you know that before the report even came out?
We had seen multiple indictments as well as prosecutions and convictions of people associated with Russia.
But shouldn't normally someone who's heading up the Constitution Society, don't you normally wait until an investigation's over? Isn't, in this great nation, people are presumed to be innocent until proven otherwise, and you were already making a finding, stating a finding as the head of the American Constitution Society before we even had the report by the special counsel's office.
There was quite a lot of evidence already in the record, and I think the Mueller report then goes further to lay out multiple instances of contacts between Trump administration.
What's interesting, you just mentioned the Mueller report. What's interesting is that same day that you said the question isn't whether the members of the Trump campaign conspired with Russia to sway the elections. We already know they did, even though we didn't know that because the report wasn't done. That same day, you wrote an op-ed. You just mentioned the Mueller report, but you wrote an op-ed that same day, March 22nd, 2019, where you said, we don't need to read the Mueller report. And now you're telling us we do. So before the report came out, before Bill Barr said anything, you said, we already know he's guilty. And oh, by the way, don't read the report.
Sir,
now you're telling us we should read the report?
The point was a rhetorical one, that there is already so much evidence out there
That's
that
not
Congress needs to examine.
Right, we don't need to read the Mueller report. You wrote that, right?
I didn't write the title, actually. If you read the body of the opinion piece, you will see that it says Congress needs to get this report. So,
well, here's what you wrote there. Well, just second paragraph. Mr. Mueller's report may never go public, but we don't need a peek at the recommendations anyway. So, did you write that?
I did.
Okay, so you did. But now you're telling us we should read the report?
I do. Yes, there's much more in there.
Let's read the report on
page 2.
We knew
a fair amount already, but now we know more. And I think Congress needs to actually see the full report and the evidence underlying it. And
let's read the report. Let's read the
understand how Russia interfered in our elections, which, again, I will state, I think it's troubling that your side of the aisle doesn't seem to want to examine.
I think it's troubling that the head of the American Constitution Society said, we already know that he did something before the report was final. Now you're telling us to read the report, and I'm going to read it on page 2. Page 2. The investigation did not establish that members of the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government in its election interference activities. So now that first you said don't read the report, now you're saying read the report. I'm reading the report, and it directly contradicts what you said as the head of the American Constitution Society. And of course, the Democrats think it's fine and appropriate to have the head of the American Constitution Society come in here and lecture us today and tell us today how we need to move towards impeachment. I mean, I fail to get it. I fail to get it. So what do you say about that sentence right there on page 2, that now that you've changed your mind and say we should read the report, where Bob Mueller says, the special counsel's office says, the investigation did not establish that members of the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government in its election interference activities?
Well, I think it's unfortunate that you actually haven't read the opinion piece, which does say that Congress needs to see the full Mueller report. That is what the opinion piece says.
We're talking about what you wrote, what you said, and what Bob Mueller said. You said
exactly
don't read
what
the report.
The opinion piece says, that Congress needs to get the full Mueller report.
I think, Mr. Chairman, here's what's interesting. Here's what's interesting. We have a witness today who, before the Mueller report was out, said, we already know the president's guilty. Before Bill Barr issued his first statement on the report, says, we already know he's guilty. That same day that she said those things, she writes an op-ed piece saying, don't read the Mueller report, because if you do, you'll find out what she claimed is absolutely not true.
I would actually,
and she's an expert witness.
Once again, would recommend that you actually read the piece so that you can see what it
I read
says.
your piece. I read the whole darn
Apparently
thing.
not, because it does
I
say
did just
that
a few
Congress
minutes ago, because I remember the exchange we had a few months ago, right after Bill Barr had sent his March 24th letter, and we had a little discussion about this same fact. I can't believe the Democrats invited you back.
As I said, it's really unfortunate that you don't actually bother to read beyond the title.
Mr. Chairman, I got 20 seconds. I got 4 seconds. I did read, and you know what? I did not follow her advice. I read the Mueller report. She's telling people not to.